Hey YouTube, it's been a while, thanks for clicking. This is now my official 12-month post-hair transplant video at ASMED in Turkey, and I'd like to apologise first and foremost. I haven't kept you guys updated sooner. I wanted to wait until the exact date, the anniversary date of my hair transplant last year. Previous to that, what I was doing was counting from Friday to Friday until it made up a month and 2 months. This time I wanted it to be on the official date of the 12 months, which is today. So thank you again for clicking and for watching my previous videos. So let's get to it. I'm going to take my phone to the hair salon where I'm going to get my hair cut, and I thought I'd show you my hair wet and after it's been cut as well, so you guys can get a really good idea of what my hair looks like now. I'll post pictures up in the corners pre my hair transplant as well, so you can see what the difference is. Enjoy. You enjoyed that segment. You got to see my hair at its most vulnerable, if you like. You got to see it completely wet. You got to see it when it was cut short. You can probably tell that there are still areas on the top of my head that will mean that I need a second surgery, which is fine. I've been harping on about that anyway for the last few months. But generally speaking, the hair's a lot fuller. I now need a haircut every 2 weeks as opposed to every 3 weeks because it's getting really thick and bushy, and I like that. I still think it's going through a change. I think up until the 18-month point I'll get a better idea of what my hair's going to look like going forward, but at the moment it's really bushy, it's really thick, and I can style it however I want. It's dense. Yeah, and I've never felt better, to be honest with you, so it was well worth it. Which brings me on to some questions that people have been firing at me for the last few months on Instagram and on YouTube, and I promised people that I would answer their questions on my next video. So here it goes with question 1. Probably the most common thing that I get asked now is how much did it cost? Now, depending on wherever you're watching this video, obviously convert it to your currency, but I paid approximately in total about 10,000 British pounds, and that's including flights and hotels. And you're going to get people on one side of the camp that are going to say, wow, you spent all that money, I can't believe how much money you spent. And then there are people that are going to say, well, okay, that seems like a reasonable price, or, you know, you've done quite well. To be honest with you, I'm quite surprised at how many people are surprised at the cost of a hair transplant, based on the fact it's a lot of manual labour if you go for a manual FUE transplant. And if you go for a reputable clinic, then you are going to pay a premium for that because of the results that they give you afterwards. So hair loss affects people in different ways. And for me, you can't really put a monetary value on that. So some people can be depressed, some people can become suicidal, some people can just lose their confidence, and some people just want to look better for vanity reasons. And each feeling is subjective. So for that reason to say, oh, you know, you spent a lot of money on a hair transplant, well, if it's worked and it's solved a problem, then it's money well spent, and it's as simple as that. And again, I reiterate from my very first video that clinics in Turkey are about a third cheaper than clinics in England. And depending on where you go in Turkey, you're going to get different results, different techniques. Bearing in mind this is a manual technique in which each one of your donor hairs are plucked by hand. And so for that reason, there are additional costs. But there are other ways, there are quicker ways, using tools such as micromotors, which are a lot cheaper because they involve less labour and probably less effort for the technician. If you go with that style, then it will be considerably cheaper. I'll leave it to you to do your own research as to what the pros and the cons are, but having done that myself, I decided I'd go with the manual technique, and having seen the results that ASMED had. So the second question is, how is my original hair doing, in particular my donor hair? Now, I don't know if you gathered from the video that you saw earlier on in the salon, but my donor hair is still looking a little bit patchy. You probably wouldn't even be able to tell, you know, if I was just walking past you. But if you were to just study it and have a closer look, you can see that there is some patchiness there. But it's fine. I'm going to give it till 18 months. And if it needs to be corrected in any way in the second hair transplant, then I'll look into that. If not, then there are other ways of making the donor area look fuller. Bearing in mind, 5,000 grafts surgery, it was very intense, and it's very unlikely that your hair is going to grow back completely naturally like it was before. Although saying that, like I said to you, it's not an obvious kind of patchiness at all. Question number 3 is, have I had any pain at the moment, or in the last few months, have I had any pain? The answer to that is no. I haven't had any pain at all in the last few months. I do still occasionally get these kind of little spots in my head that come and go in a day. I barely feel them. They're very rare and they don't affect me in any way, and they'll probably completely stop in a few months' time. So no is the answer. I feel no pain. How soon can you go back to work after the procedure? Do you need to cover your head for a certain amount of time after the surgery? To be honest with you, you can go back to work straight away if you're doing a normal office job. Bearing in mind your colleagues are going to notice. I didn't care, I told everybody, but some people do care, so they take a few weeks off work. If you work in construction or anything like that, then I would probably speak to the doctor first before going ahead with anything, because I genuinely don't know if you have to wear a helmet for work or anything, what the procedure is for that. But if you've got a normal office job where you're not likely to bump your head or have anything hit your head, then you can pretty much go to work straight away or within a few days of the surgery. So the next question I get asked a lot is, how old are you and how old were you when you did your surgery? I'm 30 years old. I was 29 years old when I had the surgery. A lot of people have been telling me that's probably the best age, around that age bracket where you've had a lot of hair loss if you started sort of in your early to mid 20s, where you are ready to actually undergo a procedure. A lot of people have messaged me to say that ASMED have told them it's too soon, and that's very responsible of them to do, because having a hair transplant too soon, you know, you might be keen to actually get your hair back, but it is better to wait. And I've got to say, I probably waited about 3 or 4 years of losing my confidence, but knowing that I was going to do the hair transplant. So, you know, I just let my hair play out, my hair loss play out. The final question that I was asked, I posted a picture on Instagram of a 3D hair type cover for people who are balding, who might be waiting to get a hair transplant, can't afford a hair transplant, or are too young to have a hair transplant. Quite a few people asked about it, so I thought I'd bring it to show you guys. It's called 3D hair. It makes your hair look thicker and fuller. It looks pretty realistic. It's like a dust almost that you kind of pepper onto your head. And once you've done that, you then glue it using spray. So once you've actually put the hair where you want it, you then keep it in place and spray this kind of glue onto it, and your hair does stay firm. I've used it a few times, not since my hair transplant, but I did use it pre my hair transplant at weddings and at events, not on a daily basis, but it works really well, so I highly recommend it. There are different brands, it doesn't have to be 3D hair, but this is just the one that I picked up from Tony and Guy. You probably pick up something similar from any hair product retailer. It did kind of increase my confidence going into actually having a hair transplant. Like I say, I don't use it anymore, but which brings me on to really my last topic, and it's just a big shout out and a thank you to ASMED. I will be doing more videos. I'll be doing another one in a couple of months' time, answering some more of your questions, keeping you guys up to date, because I think by the next one I will probably have booked my second hair transplant surgery. Check out ASMED's website. They're doing long hair FUE now, which means you don't need to shave your head when doing a hair transplant. So that's pretty cool. Check that out on their website. Follow me on Instagram. It's HT_fanboy. Please subscribe and share and like the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.